So President Trump wants to raise the fee for an H-1B visa to $100,000. This is significant for the Bay Area. President Trump signed a proclamation Friday requiring companies to pay a $100,000 fee to obtain H-1B worker visas. Here's what was said about it in the Oval Office.
We need great workers, and this pretty much ensures that that's what's going to happen. I think, Sean, do you agree with that?
$100,000 per year. So the whole idea is no more will these big tech companies or other big companies train foreign workers. They have to pay the government $100,000, then they have to pay the employee. So it's just not economic. If you're going to train somebody, you're going to train one of the recent graduates from one of the great universities across our land. Train Americans, stop bringing in people to take our jobs.
Major tech companies have relied on approvals from the program to hire employees from abroad. Amazon was among the top beneficiaries of the program, as well as companies like Microsoft and Meta. As we know, the Bay Area is home to many tech companies. A senior fellow at the American Immigration Council called the move almost certainly illegal and likely to be struck down in court.
Would your employer pay the U.S. government $100,000 just to hire you? Well, that requirement has just been created for the H-1B visa applicants. H-1B season starts October 1st, 2025, and for those applicants that have been selected and approved for their H-1B status, for them to now enter the United States, they have to have evidence that their employer has paid the new $100,000 fee per employee to come to the United States and work on the H-1B visa status. H-1B visa is a specialty worker occupational visa that allows a United States employer to bring a foreign worker to their company and work for a period of no more than 3 years. It is renewable for a total of 6 years. But now the President of the United States, Mr. Donald Trump, signed an executive order that requires an employer to pay an annual $100,000 fee per employee to maintain and keep that H-1B status. And this all goes effective September 21st, 2025.
Family, by now I know you all have heard of the $100,000 fee for the H-1B visas for skilled people who want to come and work in America. And family, that has sparked reactions online. Some Americans are in support of that visa, saying that it's time that they take, local workers from America, from within the institutions of higher learning, and train them, while others say that America will fall back because most of these tech companies need well-skilled labor, from outside the country. Companies like Meta, Microsoft are usually taking, their workforce from outside of America. And these group of people will be affected by the H-1B, visas, which will be very, very expensive for the employers to pay for their employees. So family, in this video, you'll see different reactions by Americans. Some saying that that will affect the economy of America, while others say that now local people will be able to get opportunities because employers won't be able to pay the 100,000 fees. So let's watch the video. Once it's done, we will get back and do a critical analysis about the same. Let's watch this video together, family.
The big fallacy is that people hire internationally because it's cheaper to hire immigrants to fill that. No, not for an H-1B visa. That's not why it's the same as us in the film industry doing O-1 visas. You hire because they have a specific special expertise that you need. It is more expensive for me to have to pay $15,000 in legal fees to get the visa. Then I have to fly them back and forth, not just once, because they're not going to come here for a year and never go back. Their contract is going to call for me to send them back and forth regularly.
And it's business class.
And they're generally flying business class. Very often when you have those visa holders over here, you're paying for their housing too. It's way more expensive to hire the H-1B visa holders. You're not hiring them. Like if I could hire an American for, $150,000 to do the job, they would. It is very common for big companies to say, great, I'm going to import this guy who's the foremost expert in the world on petroleum nuclides. I don't even know if that's a thing. I'm going to bring them over here and they're going to train all of my people. I would rather have just one of them to train my 50 people. I'm not going to have, if it was cheaper to hire them, I'd have 50 of them instead of training people here. Yeah. But they're way more expensive. It's going to bring in millions of dollars, billions of dollars to the government. If every one of those, I mean, think about Amazon alone, 10,000 H-1B visa holders times $100,000 a piece. How much does that bring in? Well, here's how much it's going to bring in: a short period of a burst of money, just like the tariffs. But the long-term implications are going to be devastating, because maybe it's cheaper for Amazon to move a plant over there. And all of that work that those people were training other people to do here, now it just leaves the country. This is what happens when you have a group of financially illiterate people making decisions. They make short-term decisions that bring the cash in today. Then when the country realizes you completely effed us and vote you out of office, somebody else comes in to try and fix it, and you point fingers at them and go, oh, well, it was working great when I was there. No, it wasn't.
Trump has added a $100,000 fee to the H-1B visa application. For those of you who don't know what the H-1B visa is, it is the skilled worker visa. Trump cited abuse of the visa program and said that he would deny entry to anybody who didn't pay the $100,000 for the application. You may remember hearing about the H-1B visa, even if you may not know what it was, because of one of the largest public breakups in American history of this century, which was Trump and Elon Musk. Their breakup, among many other reasons, was also over the H-1B visa, because Elon Musk was a large proponent of it and said that it was one of the backbones of the American workforce, whereas Trump wanted to scrap it completely. Critics have long said that the H-1B visa undercuts the American workforce, whereas supporters such as Elon Musk say that it attracts some of the top talent worldwide. This executive order regarding the H-1B visa comes into effect today, September 21st. What was initially supposed to be a $100,000 a year payment was then clarified by Caroline Leavitt as to be a one-time $100,000 payment. What are your guys' thoughts on this? I'd love to hear in the comments below, and if you're looking for pocket-sized politics, you're in the right spot.
The H-1B visa is one of the most desirable visas in the US for people coming from other countries with special skills. That includes doctors. So the hospitals that hire the most doctors on H-1B visas are actually the hospitals that are the smallest, the most rural, the ones that have the least resources, oftentimes the hospitals that are safety net hospitals to their communities. So now, of course, this $100,000 visa fee is going to prevent people from other countries who are in training to come here and practice medicine. And that's really going to create a wider disparity in those populations and in those remote communities. So it's going to impact those foreign doctors, but it's also going to impact those safety net hospitals that rely on those doctors. And it's going to really hit those residency programs that fill up all of their spots with foreign medical graduates. But of course, I know that if you aren't in the medical space, you probably don't care about those individual stakeholders. But the one that you might care about is that this change will actually impact the patients and the communities that those safety net hospitals care for. We're all going to see wider gaps in care, longer wait times for specialists, overworked primary care physicians. I mean, the whole thing is going to go under. I don't think people really understand how much weight foreign medical graduates shoulder, but they're about to.
Good afternoon, everyone. We have some interesting news as Trump has signed the order requiring $100,000 for H-1B visas, and he has also introduced his gold card. Trump has signed a proclamation requiring $100,000 annual fees for skilled foreign workers to come to the United States, along with his releasing his gold card that costs $1 million for a path to U.S. citizenship. If these make it through the courts, they will bring a high price increase and make it way more expensive for people to not only come to the United States to work here, but to live their lives. Many parts of the tech industry use H-1B visas for employees, but Trump says this won't be a problem. That's another huge hit to, the workforce and the economy right there, especially when it comes to foreign companies bringing in workers here and investing in our country. This administration is doing the exact opposite of the things that they say they want to do, along with selling our country to the highest bidder day by day. I mean, $1 million for a path to citizenship is crazy, and most of you should recognize that. If not, where's your $1 million to spare? Outside of that, though, thank you everyone for watching this video. Like and repost to get the information out. Drop a follow for more news content. Later.
It's only DEI if it's for people we don't like? Because I thought we were supposed to be hiring the best of the best, but what do you call it when you're hiring on a factor other than merit? Trump is trying to economically force companies to hire Americans who they already had an option to hire but didn't, even if they're not the people best suited for the job. Isn't that what MAGA said DEI did? Other than the medical system that's chronically understaffed and desperately relies on foreign-born residents and physicians, that's probably the saddest and funniest part of this entire thing. These highly skilled workers that MAGA desperately doesn't want here because they're not from here will go back to their home countries or another country, spend all of their disposable income there, and either work for the same company or a different company and give all of their technological expertise and advantage to our competitors. Trump is doing a great job making China great again. Because like so much of what Trump does, this doesn't address the underlying issues that make U.S. workers less competitive for these positions, or the systematic immigration issues that need to be completely overhauled in this country. It's a rash movement like the COVID lockdown announcement in 2020 that causes mass panic, but this, at the end of the day, due to the discretionary loophole, will create a patronage system for Trump's friends.
We're all in shock right now in the immigration world, absolutely in shock, because Trump just signed an executive order that people who wish to enter the U.S. as an H-1B will now be required to pay a $100,000 fee. He says that he's protecting the American workers, but that really doesn't seem to be the actual reason, because there are only a total of 85,000 H-1Bs. I don't know if this is going to extend to universities and how the universities are going to be affected, since people from higher education institutions have unlimited access to H-1Bs, but that's to encourage research and development and academia. So we will bring you more information as we find out, but definitely for people who are working the private industry, $100,000 to have an H-1B. But there are other ways to come to the U.S. and to work, and if you'd like to know about those ways, please reach out to my office, go to the link in my bio, and we can explain to you your other options.
Okay, we got to talk about the Trump session that we're in. I'm going to try to tie a bunch of different economic issues together, because one issue always impacts another when it comes to the economy. Right now, we're going to talk about the Trump administration slapping on a fee of $100,000 to a skilled worker who wants to come here on an H-1B visa to work as a doctor, as a scientist, as an engineer, as an IT tech, you name it. $100,000. Okay, I want you just to set that over here. You've got the Prime Minister, I think it is, of India saying this is going to be a humanitarian crisis, because India alone fills 70% of those H-1B visas. And if you're not the kind of Christian nationalist who others other races and you see us all as one human race, that is a concern too. Now, we needed H-1B visas for a number of reasons. We needed these skilled workers from other countries because, in part, college was very expensive for most college students here in America, and most couldn't even afford to go to college. So we had to recruit these kind of skilled workers. Another reason we took them in was employers got by a lot cheaper because they could hire them as contractors and not have to pay them any benefits, health care, retirement, or anything like that. Okay? All right. So now Trump is putting such an astronomical fee on it that we're not going to get nearly as many skilled workers, if any. I don't know who can afford that kind of money. Okay. You think this would be devastating for one reason, but I'm going to tell you what it really indicates. You had 60% of CEOs this past month respond to a survey that said because of Trump's horrible economic policies around tariffs and deportations, they are being impacted so badly that they will not be investing in anything new in the United States. No new business, no new manufacturing, no new infrastructure, no new technology, nothing. Now, I could sit here until the end of the year and tell you what one business can provide to a local community. All the vendors and contractors that would be supported because they'd be hired by these businesses. I mean, the list goes on. And that's going to come to an abrupt halt. So that's a whole lot of jobs that we won't have to look forward to for all of the laid off employees here in the United States because of Trump economics. But you're also not going to need the H-1B skilled workers either. That is overall horrific news. And then you have the CEO of Goodwill saying, the youth is going to be facing an economic crisis, a joblessness crisis, working at poverty wages because AI is taking over everything. Now, I want you to think about that in the context of these H-1B workers. I want you to think about that in the context of our college graduates. We're also not going to be creating these skilled jobs from our colleges because after the big, beautiful bill was passed, it's made college virtually unaffordable. They gutted so much funding. They gutted student loan opportunities. They gutted everything. So unless you're a wealthy, rich, white family, who's going to be able to afford to get a degree and become our next wave of doctors and you name it? It all together is horrifying economic news. And what Trump and his Project 2025 administration has managed to do, besides making themselves crazy rich, they created so many more billionaires, and they're harming the rest of us. What they managed to do is make it all irreparable. Because other countries are finding out a way to say F you to America, and they're completely bypassing us. And that's gutting our manufacturing. Those are the kind of things we can't get back. And now manufacturing and other businesses are going to open up in other countries, and these skilled workers from other countries are going to go there to work. I don't know how else to say it. You guys just better get out at midterms, and we got to get a majority in the House and in the Senate. And then we need to vote them out. And then we got to pick candidates on the Democratic side who are going to figure out creative ways to fix all this, including the fact that so many jobs now are being replaced by AI. Humans can't survive like this.
Family, this new visa order by President Donald Trump has caused a lot of panic and confusion right now in America. Many visa holders, especially those who are abroad, rushed and returned to the United States, fearing that they may be blocked from re-entry after the rule takes effect. And that is what is happening right now. Employers are telling their employees, before this rule, is official, it's time that they rush back into the country and continue with their work before they are blocked to re-enter, because paying the 100,000 fees, is kind of expensive. Uncertainty over what the rule means for families, travel plans, and renewals. There's a lot of confusion because this is something that has never happened before. The fees is yet, to be implemented, and many employers are afraid because these will make them use a lot of money to ensure that they pay for each employee. What the H-1B visa requires from employees, who are not Americans, coming from other countries, each employer must pay $100,000 for each employee. Imagine if you had around 100 of them. Just imagine how much you'll have to pay. Upwards of more than 1 million USD, to ensure that now your employees can settle well in their workplace. Major tech firms are worried about the impact, especially for recruiting talent from abroad. Some are said to be reviewing or changing hiring practices, outsourcing strategies, or pushing more to recruit domestically. And that is what many Americans, according to the video, want. They want these tech companies, these big tech companies, to get their workforce, domestically, so that many graduates from universities can be trained for them to do this work that many immigrants come to do in America. There's been a lot of political and public opinion around the same. Supporters argue it protects American workers by preventing companies from using H-1B visas to undercut the U.S. wages, thus encouraging firms to hire or train U.S. workers. The White House frames it this way. They are saying it's easier for these big tech companies to employ their own people, There are many people who qualify for these works who only need a few training, for them to partake these works. They do believe that it's time they get an opportunity. There's also been critics, critics counter that the fee is excessively high, could reduce innovation. That's the risk that this is giving. Right now, where America is facing a lot of competition from all over the world, including China, just imagine reducing innovation from these people, the workforce from outside of America, will slow down growth in tech sectors, harm competitiveness, and make the US a less attractive place for global talent. That's the only risk that will come with these very high fees for visas. Employers will look for strategies to, of course, employ domestically. But now the side effect of the same will be the lack of competitiveness, in big tech sectors. It will reduce innovation. Remember, America is one of the biggest countries in the world. If other countries still source, workforce from outside, from skilled people, very, very highly skilled people, that would mean that other countries will move ahead while America will slant behind. So the competition with America will go down and down, in due time. Foreign governments like the Indian has been particularly vocal, warning about humanitarian consequences, disruption to families, and a message that the US is afraid of Indian talent. This is the comeback from India. Industry bodies in India, e.g. NASCOM, have expressed concern about the cost, but the clarification that renewals and existing visas holders are exempt has eased some immediate fears. That's the only good side to it, because now renewals and existing visa holders are exempt from the same. There are some unresolved issues, emerging issues from whatever Donald Trump said the other day on Friday, whether small companies will be disproportionately hurt. Many don't have the financial leeway to absorb that kind of cost for bringing in foreign talent. Some have legal challenges. Some observers believe this could face court challenges, whether on constitutional grounds or whether such big fee changes exceed regulatory or statutory authority. Then there is also impact on competitiveness and innovation. If fewer high-skilled foreign workers come, or if companies decide to locate abroad or rely more on remote work, what will that mean, for the US in tech, research, etc.? People are afraid, that could bring lack of competitiveness with innovation with other big countries, all over the world, because the US will lack the skilled labor from outside of the country. The actual effect on American workers is debated. Some economists say it may help wages or reduce competition for certain jobs. Others warn of unintended downstream harm. These are some of the issues that now this high fee of the H-1B visas will bring about in America. Family, let me know in the comment section down below what you think about this new order by the president to ensure that people pay higher fees, in terms of visa, to ensure that also, the local talents are appreciated. Family, like the video so that it can be recommended to other YouTube users, and I'd be very, very grateful. Lastly, I'd highly appreciate if you all do consider subscribing to the channel. We are currently on the road to 50,000 subscribers. Thank you guys, and see you all in our next episode. Goodbye for now.